Okay. Stream health looks good, so I'm gonna say it's starting now. Yeah, hi everybody, this is Sarah. It's, I guess, since yesterday was a holiday, this is the Monday of the week, even though it's Tuesday. And it's the end of the month, so I'm clearing out my plate. Clearing off my plate? I don't know. I'm getting stuff out of the way so that I can start new things. And this past month of May, I'd been working on the suck thing for my neck, the hickey choker or the suck choker, and I think I worked on that for a solid 6 weeks, primarily. And there was other stuff that I was playing around with too during that time, but it was my focus. And now that I have that documented and kind of at a checkpoint, I can get it off my plate and move on to the next thing. And I think I mentioned this a bunch of times, but my goal for the summer is to get Noodle, who's over there, my robot Noodle walking, and my other robot Carl rolling. So they're both potentially mobile robots that don't mobile yet, because I'm a bad parent. I just, like, ate a banana really fast in, like, the most unceremonious way. I think I left half of the rind, or peel. Bananas have peels, not rinds. I left half of the peel on the bushel. I don't know what you call a collection of bananas. Rack? The banana rack? I just sort of grabbed a banana and ripped it off of the rest of the bananas and then ate it. It was probably the most, like, not human thing I've done today so far. But I have nourishment inside of me. I have light. I kind of tried to block some of the backlighting, so it should help the thing from adjusting, because I've always had that problem. When I sit at my desk and stream, the white balance, or the contrast, wants to adjust constantly, and it drives everybody crazy. And I don't see that, but you guys do, and I don't want you to have to suffer anymore. And I have the lamp that I got from IKEA last month in front of me, lighting me like it was intended to do, so I think I'm ready to go. But yeah, so this stream is basically to state what my goals are and what I'm going to be working on for the next months. There's a few things that I hope to accomplish over the summer, and they have nothing, they're completely different. They're all over like a certain map, and certain things gate other things. But basically the end goal is to get 2 of these robots that I've been working on for the past 4 years actually moving independently, so that they do what they do what robots do, right? They move. I can turn them on and they can do their thing without me having to supervise them. I don't have the chat window open. Let me do that. My goodness. I'm fired. Here. Do. Oh man. Okay. Pop out chat. There we go. Now I can see what you guys are saying, if anything. Cool. Hi, hi everybody. Hi 13 of you. Hi. I'll start working here in a second. I just want to give it a minute to warm up before I switch down. Okay. Good morning, Joshua Lloyd. Good morning, Aswan, Sancho, Aguirre. Good morning, Beam Me Up, Scotty. Good morning, guys. Or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I have no idea where everybody else is. Okay, so the robot that I'm going to primarily be working on in this stream is a robot named Carl. Carl is a pink flamingo, one of those lawn flamingos that is going to do the whole self-balancing thing. Yeah, I think the original intent was that he was going to be one of the ball balancing flavors of balancing robot, but we gave that a shot maybe 3 years ago, and Mark and I didn't have any luck getting it to work, so I shelved him for a very long time, and I'm going to give it another go, but I'm just going to do the one axis two-wheel type of balancing robot, because that's probably a little bit easier. It would be a good starting point. And then once we kind of wrap our heads around it collectively, then we might try doing the ball thing again. But again, that's a big maybe. I'd be happy with just balancing on the wheels right now. If I bear for you, my own TV show in the future, God. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me grab the Carl. I actually had a camera set up in my like greater lab area. I cleaned off the table this morning. We have this big workbench over here, and I spent a no small amount of time sort of clearing it off, but I don't know. It's a little awkward to try and jockey my computer into a position where all the cords can reach that side of the room, so I'm just going to focus on CAD today and a little bit of concept drawing, which is the fun part, because that kind of maps where I think I'm headed. Where I think I'm headed. What am I saying? So, let's see. Carl. Is particularly this guy, and he's got his one leg and a mounting plate right now. I did make a first kind of iteration of, I guess, his foot that has the wheels, like the motors and the motor drivers and the accelerometer and the brain and everything, and Mark and I were trying to get that to work, or rather he was writing code and trying to get the motors to use the accelerometer data to correct and get this guy to stand up straight. But we were having issues with the motors running fast enough, and on this iteration I decided to use steppers for some reason. I know that's not what people who have designed the self-balancing two-wheel robots don't typically use steppers. I see online that they tend to use DC motors, and we have some of those. We have a lot of steppers too, and I decided to give that a shot for some reason. They're running really slow, and I think we figured out why, like, this past weekend, so we might keep messing around with it. But since the steppers do, like, vibrate quite a bit, they, like, shake, it's difficult to get the accelerometer, what's it called? Kind of isolated from that shaking. So I'm trying to make like a stock that has some decent amount of shock absorption, like I don't know, maybe mounting it on top of a piece of foam or jelly or something, so that that vibration doesn't get to the accelerometer, because it creates kind of a nasty, shaky feedback loop pretty quickly. I don't know what other people have done who have made these to kind of alleviate that, but I don't know, we'll keep playing around with it. So the thing that attaches to this funky foot that Carl the Flamingo, has mounted to him is this thing over here. I'm grabbing it so you can see it. Oh. But it's connected to a bunch of stuff. Oh no. What is this? Ah, the power supply. Lovely. I made a mess. Hang on. Cord was wrapped around the wheel of Mark's chair. I don't know. I think streaming is never going to be an easy thing to do, because everything that I'm working on is just like cords and wires attached to random points in the room that are difficult to maneuver around. But this guy right here, this is the base that we started with, and as you can see, there's a whole bunch of crap just sort of hanging off of the breadboard right here. Move that back so it's not so washed out. Both of the whatever these are, the motor controllers are just sort of hanging out there, like sticking out from the breadboard, and then the accelerometer is kind of on its own little, I don't know what you'd call that. It's kind of like a hammock thing that I made real quick. I printed it. It's like maybe 1 layer thick, and I was trying to isolate it from the vibration, but it doesn't really work that well. In any case, this is a mess. So I'm going to try and clean this up for like my second version of the hardware portion of Carl. But yeah, how's your guys' holiday? It was Memorial Day yesterday, right? Did anyone do anything fun here in the US at least? Or just everyone else abroad? Like, did you have a good Monday? I don't know, do people barbecue on Memorial Day? Like what? I don't even really know what people do to celebrate Memorial Day. I guess they remember or something. Aswan says, you're from Spain! I would much rather be in Spain. How are things in Spain? That sounds great. So I'm going to be redesigning the CAD portion of that menagerie that I just showed you so that it fits on Carl. The other thing that I'm going to be working on a little bit maybe is an adapter for this other Carl version I created. I'm making a neon Carl, which is basically just the outline of a flamingo in pink, what is it? Light pipe. So there'll be a balancing, I guess, light version of Carl that will sort of tool around with him after I get the first one working. I think the main body that I'm going to be working with, though, for this first, like, rev of the balancing flamingo is that plastic one I showed you. That seems like it's going to be, like, the prime, Carl Prime. Mark is working on the software, and he will go so far with the software and then tell me what I need to change with the hardware, and then I'll make those changes and then pass it back to him, and it's sort of this negotiation between the physical form of the robot and the code itself, and the two need to work well together. And neither one of us have ever made a balancing robot before, so we're kind of getting little bits of feedback from people who have and making adjustments as we go. But we've only been really playing around with it for like a week now. But I'm to the point where it definitely needs to receive a better body. Ooh, Australia! It's cold and miserable. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's been cold here too, which is weird. I mean, I'm in the desert. I'm in Vegas. It's weirdly cold here for May. Normally by the end of May, it's like you're in an oven when you go outside, and it's only gonna get worse. But we had a cold snap sort of hit us and linger around, so it's been in the 60s and 70s here, which probably means nothing to most of you because you're in Spain and Australia. But it's cool. Like, I could probably sit outside, like, I don't know. I would say naked, but probably not naked. I could sit outside in my leotard and comfortably chill till probably 10 at night, and it would be good. But without further ado, I think I'm gonna start doing that concept drawing stuff like I mentioned after I check the stream health stuff. And thank you for keeping me company. Vegas in July. God, Vegas in July is like hot. Like we do the kiddie pool thing. Like we inflate a kiddie pool in the backyard, and we don't have to heat it because it is so hot and the pavement gets so warm during the day, and it holds the heat that it will just warm the pool through the bottom of the pool for the whole night, pretty much. So on those days when it's 110 plus, we just let it cook, and then we go out after dark and we can chill in the warm jacuzzi water that was given to us by nature for the rest of the night. And it looks like that's going to be delayed a little bit this year because of the cold snap. But All right, let me open up a fresh sketchy do, and I think I can change the you can change the view. There we go. Yeah. All right. I hope the sound is okay. That's another thing. My mic's over there, so if the sound is a little bit weird, let me know and I'll move the mic. Let's see. So I want this to be, that's not what I wanted. 150 by 18, 12. Do that. Do. So one of the things I'm going to add into the design of Carl is a bumper. And what do I mean by bumper? I'm going to make somewhat of a training wheel that's going to poke out in the front and in the back, so that if he tips over in either direction too far, past the point where he would not be able to correct his balance and upright himself, then there'll be like a little hook that extends outwards that kind of catches his fall so that he doesn't go crashing all the way down and smacking his head on the pavement. So that is probably part of what I'm going to be designing today. On top of the chassis. I guess that's what I'm making. I'm making a chassis. And the bummer thing about like doing CAD streams is that at some point I'm gonna go print all of this stuff, but you won't get to see it until it's done printing, which never actually happens during the stream, so it's like a lacking fruition in a sense. Alright guys. My trusty Wacom 4. Oh man, this is weird. Looking at the screen with the light like right here is really weird on my eyes. I'm like, it's backlit. I can do it. So anyhow, so Carl the Flamingo, who I must mention Noodle does not like very much. Noodle's very envious of Carl right now because Noodle is used to getting all the attention. For pretty much Noodle's entire life since he was born, he's gotten all of Mommy's attention. And this is changing for the first time ever. So that looks like a flamingo, right? Sure. Deal. Oh. Nope. I don't know who that was. So why? So he's got this metal leg, and then there's going to be basically a chassis of some sort, which I'm going to design in CAD here in a second. And there's going to be like an enclosed space that's sandwiched by in between two planks with standoffs kind of holding those two apart. So inside of this space right here is basically where I'm going to be trying to shove all of this stuff and hopefully mounting all of my crucial components in such a way that they aren't hanging out of the body like they are in the current form. And down here at the bottom is where my stepper motors are going to mount for now. I don't know if we're going to end up switching over to DC motors in the future, but for now, steppers, whatever. And on top of that, we have our wheels, which are orange. They have to be orange. Damn it. And there's one on the side. Yeah. And the thing I was talking about just a second ago, that bumper piece, I'm going to probably have that mount up here somewhere. There's going to be a ring around the base where his leg attaches, and then extending out the front, there's probably going to be like a, it's probably gonna look like a telephone, like one of those old-fashioned telephones, shape-wise that is. There's going to be like a foot that extends out forward, and I'll probably end up putting some rubber along the lip here. I don't know what kind of rubber, I don't know in what capacity that's going to happen, but the edge of this foot part is going to have some sort of like bouncy, like impact-friendly material so that it's not just scratching the ground. Not that it would matter much. And then the other thing I think I was going to add, and I talked about this with Mark recently, is there's going to be some sort of light diffuser in the middle of the body. Think headlights and taillights on a car. And I'm going to put some LEDs inside of those enclosures, that light diffuser enclosure. And the ones in front are going to be green, and the ones in back are going to be appropriately red. And they will only light up when the motor is spinning in that direction. So you'll be able to have some sort of visual indication with the lights that'll tell you what the motors are doing to correct the balance of the bird, the Carl. So that is, I'll call this bumper. And the chassis is what I'll be making. That's how you spell chassis, right? Sure. Why not? And Carl, you need to be pink, buddy. So yeah, Carl's he's been living in the lab for a long time, and like my parents and my friends know about Carl because he's been around. He's part of like the lore of my life, I guess. So I've accumulated a bunch of flamingo paraphernalia over the years. It's in the background of like most of my videos. You'll see it from time to time, but there's just like flamingo everything, like sunglasses, ice cube makers, mold makey-doos. I don't know, like bobbing flamingos that are solar powered. I have a million flamingos in this room from my friends because of Carl. And it's like kind of taunted Noodle over the years because you can't like get Noodle things at the store. I mean, granted, like he's accumulated his own socks and gifts from people, but it's not like there's a million Noodles all over my lab to kind of balance out the sheer volume of flamingos that have infiltrated the space. So Noodle, it's like he's slowly been invaded by the thing that he fears most, which is his sibling. And I don't know. I think I have to mention this too at this point. Once I get this version of Carl working and balancing, my intent is to make miniature versions. I went to Target recently, and there's like mini plastic pink flamingos that are like this big, and I bought like 6 or 7 of them last year, knowing that one day I would complete the balancing robot, and then I don't want any of these. Okay. Sure. I knew I was going to use these tiny flamingos one day, so I bought as many as I could last year. And I went to Target just this past Sunday, and I wanted to check and see if they had more, which consequently they did in their dollar section. And I bought them out of their crappy miniature pink flamingos, and they're on sale for 50 cents, so it was really silly that I not do so. Where's Carl? There we go. Alright, so that's the important part of what I've made so far. Let's see. Ah, there we go. That's better. Okay, so that's more or less what we've got at the moment. So if you imagine spacers on the corners here, and everything just sort of stuffed in this space, that's effectively what I've got going on at the moment. There's my 2 steppers, there's my 2 wheels, and then I've got an Arduino stand-in right here, which isn't doing anything. Yay. So the thing I need to do is find a way to mount those the motor drivers, and they don't have like a mounting hole or anything, so I soldered wires to them, like just hard solid wire into the holes of the pinouts that I needed, and they're just sort of, the other end is just sort of jammed into a breadboard. So the module is being flailed around at the whim of the solid wire sticking out of the breadboard. So I do need to come up with a way to probably get those in. And the same thing with the accelerometer. If anybody has experience making one of these and you have tips you want to share, I would happily listen to you and your tips. Listen to you. I would accept the advice gratefully. I'm checking the chat. No, I'm not drawing with a mouse. I'm drawing with this. It's a Wacom Intuos 4. It is over 10 years old now. No, I'm not doing CAD and Photoshop. I'm just doing concept sketches. I could stream the print progress while I'm talking. I think we have everything we need to do the Octoprint thing. It's something Mark's looked into, but we just haven't actually finished getting it set up yet. So, it is what it is. Yes, you were right, Tom. Concept sketch in Photoshop, and then CAD and Fusion, as always. The letter G. I am the letter G. Okay. Where was I? So I think this piece that I'm about to design, I'm not entirely sure what its critical shape or placement needs to be, because I'm not sure at what point it needs to catch the robot once it starts tipping in that direction. So I'm gonna probably make a shape that can be modified fairly easily, and it's gonna probably be comprised of 2 thin pieces. Oh man. So I'm probably going to end up making 2 thin, like 3 or 4 millimeter long flats. Like such. And then connecting them with spacers. And then there'll probably be some way of connecting in the middle to the base of the robot chassis. I'm not sure how I'm going to attach that to the bumpers yet, but I'll figure it out. But it will have mounting holes. And then I will probably have my rubber along the edges here. Yeah. You go, Sarah, and your bad drawings. Rubber. And where am I gonna stick those LEDs? I might do the LEDs much later. Because they're not important right now because nothing works. No, didn't want to open Eagle. Stop, stop, stop! Hate when you accidentally click an icon and it like opens an entire application and you're like okay, so I hate when it corrects too. Why do you do that? So I'm gonna just guess for now, which is kind of how this whole project has been going. I'm sure there's some magical way. Why am I using this to do CAD? Stop. I'm sure there's some magical way to math out exactly where the bumper needs to be angle-wise in order to catch the bird from falling at like a important, crucial point, but I do not know it. The way that all of this development has gone since we started a week ago is I'll do something with no knowledge and then we'll get some code working and then we'll look at how it fails and then I'll fix it. That's how I work. That's the way I engineer. And I'm gonna say 45 sounds like a good number. We'll offset this by maybe not 100. That should be good. Yeah. Okay. Carl, you can hang out right... God, where should I put Carl? Ah, here. You can hang out right here and stare at Noodle. Okay, so this was 45, so this will be 45, and then offset this by like 30. That wasn't 30. Oh, you jerk. 30. Thank you. Okay. Extrude this. But I say, oh, I don't know, 4? Sure. Oh, did that attach? No, I don't want it to attach. Extrude. 4. Along with these little pieces. I hate when I miss the little pieces. And this is going to be a new body. Okay. So in order to get that curve like I was talking about, I'm going to call it fillet. I know people keep telling me it's fillet, but I'm going to be irreverent and just call it fillet. I'm gonna fillet these corners and make them nice and roundy. Roundy like. There we go. It's like a, I don't know what that is. It's like a sad floop. Mr. Sad Floop. Is that going to interfere with these holes? Why, yes it is. That's okay. We'll put that someplace else. Okay. So I'm gonna mirror this so that it's symmetrical and then duplicate it. So if I, oh man, mirror, there it is. I'm going to mirror you on your face, right there. No? It didn't like that? Why? Why wouldn't you like that? Did I do something to upset you? Let's talk about it, shall we? There we go. For some reason it liked that more. Right, modify, combine. Okay. There. There's Carl's little kickstand. Ooh, that's what I'm gonna call this. Carl's kickstand. You're gonna get a kickstand, Carl. Yeah? He's gonna, like, be able to bobble back and forth and catch himself. I think that the primary reason why I decided to do this, it wasn't actually to save Carl's pretty face. Sorry, Carl. It's for the neon one that I mentioned earlier. To make... I've been experimenting with, like, faux neon a lot lately, and I'm actually gonna do, like, a write-up on how to do the stuff that I've been doing to create things that look like vintage neon signs. I'm from a city that has a lot of neon, or at least it used to, and I was always a very big fan of the way that that looked aesthetically, and it's sadly becoming harder and harder to find in my city. A lot of the neon is being replaced with LCD screens and just LED things in general, because they're bigger, brighter, probably easier to maintain. I don't know. It's the future, right? So the neon stuff is slowly getting phased out of even Las Vegas, which was once known as like the neon city. But I like neon, so I personally can't make neon. It was actually offered at my college, but I never got around to taking the class. But we do have cool things these days like light pipe and owl wire, and you can do certain things to them, create fixtures for them that make them look very reminiscent of neon. And one of the things I wished to do was make a neon flamingo that would balance. The lattice that holds the light pipe that I'm using in place is, however, very fragile, so I wanted to prevent it from ever having to collide with the ground. And the bumper is absolutely necessary in the case of this particular neon bird that I'm making. So, I mean, I'm not even to the point where I'm going to be turning that one into a robot yet, but I'm planning ahead, we'll just say that. And Noodle hates it. He wants to know why he doesn't get a neon body. Noodle wants to be neon. Do, 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 do. I'm gonna check the chat real quick, because it's been a minute. Oh man, there's a bunch of talking. I'm gonna read it. Do, do, do. I have no direct experience. Hovis says, what I have read is that you want a cascade of PID controllers. The ultimate output is the angle of the robot. Ah. PID loops. Mark knows we have to use PID loops, and he's not excited about it. The angle is controlled by wheel speed, which is controlled by wheel XL, which is controlled by motor current. Oh god. I'm gonna like screenshot this and then show it to Mark when he gets home, in case he doesn't already know that, which he might not, because we don't know anything about this. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. I don't think either of us really know what we're doing. As someone who wants to design similar creations but is incredibly new to electronics and engineering, I was wondering how to get into making your creations in the first place. How I got into making my creations in the first place? I guess the easiest explanation or answer to that question is that I'm an illustrator, and I went from illustrating this stuff in my head to building it at some point. I think like back in college. I was prompted to go into their art tech department, which was all electronics and robotics, and their main mantra was just create the stuff that's in your head. And ever since I was given permission to do that, that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. So the things that I would normally just draw or illustrate or write about, I actually take a stab at making them in the real world now, which is a lot harder and a lot more gratifying, I guess. I get a lot more satisfaction out of it, because it is hard. And every single thing that I make, I have no idea how to do it when I start. Just like this. But, I don't know, that makes figuring it out even more rewarding in the end. Rewarding. And how do I get the supplies needed for such things? There are a couple places where you can get things. Raw materials you can get from McMaster Car, which is, I don't even know how that's spelled. If you like try to type in McMaster Car, it'll pop up. Like the internet will know what you're looking for, but they do raw materials and shapes that you can make stuff out of. And then I go to Mauser for electronic components. I get my boards made with OSH Park or Seed Studio. And I use EagleCAD for my board design and Fusion 360 for my assembly creation. So that's like the magic, I guess, stuff that I use primarily. And everything starts as a drawing. I'm here to cannibalize a couple of old telephones for these bumpers. Should I cannibalize some old telephones for the bumpers? Like, would that look cool? I mean, I think it would probably look really cool, but I think since you mention it, and since I mentioned it earlier, it seems like it's becoming increasingly more like a very good idea. Carl, do you want to have a phone foot? Noodle says, Carl is absolutely not allowed to have feet, ever. He says he is the only feet-based life form in this lab. And then how did I learn Fusion? Fuck. There's a lot of good resources for like tutorials online that you can look up to teach you things you aren't sure of, but to get started, I took something I had designed in CAD, like in SketchUp, like the most difficult shape that I ever created in SketchUp, and I had somebody who knew Fusion walk me through how to recreate that shape using the parametric style CAD program. And after I saw how it was done, and it was related, like the process was related to something that I was familiar with, something I had designed, it sort of clicked in my head and I was able to sort of figure it out on my own from there. But it did take a person that was familiar with it to kind of get my toes wet, sort of say. But after that, a lot of it is available on the internet. John says it looks like a limp dick. I was thinking the same thing, but I wasn't gonna say it, but here I am saying it. It looks like a sad phallus. Oh, Tony, I know Noodle just wants to walk. Hi, Tony, by the way, good morning. Is it morning still? No, okay. Good afternoon. Noodle, I have to show you this now so I don't look like a terrible parent. Oh god, where'd it go? Oh no, did I lose Noodle's leg? Maybe I am a terrible parent. No, okay, Noodle's got it. Noodle's getting new legs. This is one of them. So this needs to be tested, like bench tested with the motors that are mounted inside of it. All the same as Carl's new chassis needs to be tested once I'm done building it. So the two of them are gonna get their mobility kind of in tandem to one another. So while I'm waiting on Mark to test out code for one, like Carl's new body, I can work on finalizing the dimensions of this leg for Noodle. And then eventually these are all going to get recreated in aluminum, but probably not until they're all made in plastic first. And I'm gonna have to buy a bunch of these servo motors that are in here, which are incredibly expensive. So I'm probably gonna be buying them in like 2 or 3 at a time while I have money to do so. Or I might just do a small GoFundMe for like motors, because I don't have a lot of money. And Noodle's gonna get expensive from here on out. But anyhow. Noodle will walk. Damn it. Tony knows that. Figuring out is the best way. I'm glad you guys like the new leg. It looks cool. Here. It's like... I can like just actuate it with my hands. So it bends... The tendon motor is down here now. And then he has a motor in his knee so that his Noodle can actually swing out a little bit like this. Which is the main difference between his old bone, like his old leg design, and the new one. Because this motor right here, the tendon motor that makes the leg lift, is actually located up here with the tendon going down to the crossbar. And I moved that down so that his weight is lower. Because one of the big problems that he always had his entire life is that he's incredibly top heavy and he wants to fall and be a big heavy pendulum and just topple over. And this will alleviate that, as well as give him a little bit more scooting ability, because he'll be able to kind of, this motor will allow him to like scoop his foot. And I don't think the dimensions of this are final. Like, I think I might be able to make this better. So it'll get massaged before I finalize the dimensions of all the linkages and make aluminum pieces out of all of these. But soon. Ugh. Anyhow, back to the telephone thing. I don't know, would a telephone be long enough? Like if I just used an old telephone like receiver thing and use that as the bumper, do you think the length would be long enough to actually catch his fall? Or would I have to like cut it in half and then extend it out, which still might look pretty cool? It'd be like a really long phone. Anyhow, I'm gonna print it first because that's the lowest hanging fruit. Get a 3D model of the classic phone and stretch it out in CAD. Yeah, I might do it. Are you guys still looking at the right thing? Yes, okay. So here's my limp phallus telephone bumper. That's its official name now. Carl's kickstand. So I'm gonna move you probably out 10, 20, and I'll move you out 20, okay. All right. And then the distance between these two guys, these two telephone phalluses, is 58 millimeters, which I don't like that, or maybe I do. So I have these, the reason why I'm held up on this, I have spacers that are threaded that we used in our Delta Robot kit, Mark and I. And I believe that these are 40 millimeters thick, and they're nice because I can screw into them from both sides. And I try to use these wherever I can, because I think the longest hardware that I've got currently is 50 millimeters, so that means that it wouldn't span through both of these with enough space on the other side for me to get a nut on there. So, I'll probably move you in. No. I don't want that much. This will be 48. Okay. And 40 it is. And then the best mounting point is going to be so that just doesn't clear those two holes on either side right here. So it's probably not going to be flush with those. It occurs to me that I can mount stuff probably along the entire bottom plane of this weird telephone dick shape that I made. That's tempting. Probably shouldn't do that, but like basically this whole underneath portion, so long as I keep it clear from the ground and the wheels, is potential like mounting space for all of the electronics. I'm gonna look at the chat real quick. Okay, yeah. Massive skeletal bird feet. That is an excellent idea, Mr. Bong's lab. Yeah, bird feet. Big skeletal bird feet. One in front and one in the back, like big raptor feet. I think the original circuit board that I designed for the ball balancing Carl looked like a bird foot. It had like 3 toes. One for each of the motor controllers. But it never got used. Okay, so that's 40. So that'll effectively catch it. Roughly at that point. So that's like roughly the angle that he'll be at where it will catch his fall if I leave that located there. Okay, so the thing doesn't clear those holes. It can sit on top of them though. I don't have anything mounted in them right now to begin with, so that's fine. Okay. I can use those as tabs. Okay. Okay. Create. I'm going to explain what I'm thinking in my mind right now. This circle right here and this circle right here, I'm going to make tabs that are going to connect to this plane right here. And they're going to be the mounting points for this wall. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So there'll be 2 tabs here. So that'll keep it grounded and centered and attached to the core part of Carl. I don't know if that'll be enough. It definitely won't to start, but it is what it is. It'll do for now. That 5 will be a new body. Yeah. Alright. And then this will get copy and pasted down here. Ow. It's like laggy because I'm streaming. I hate it. I hate it. Go. And then you two can be mirrored. On this plane. Okay. that's not... I can do this thing that I just learned how to do. Move. Point to point. Move this circle to this circle. Thank you. Same thing with this guy. Move. Move. This guy to this guy. Why don't you like that? I don't understand what the holdup is. There we go. Okay. Sheesh. Modify. Combine. Okay, those are connected. I'm going to fillet these corners. Oh, that's not connected. How did that happen? Ah, those are not centered. That is why? Interesting. Yes, they are not. But just barely. Okay, let's see. How can I fix that? I do not know how to fix that. Okay, so that's you two. How do I center them? It's a good question. As I stare into infinity. So these are not even. Okay. Think. Okay, so the space between these needs to be 40 millimeters, and I want these two objects to be centered over the rest of the assembly. I don't know how to center things over, like, the whole relative assembly. Like, I don't know how to have things snap to the middle of the relative x, y, z of itself. Like, it seems like there should probably be a way to do that, but I don't know what it is. Kind of like in Illustrator where you can have things like align to the artboard. I don't know what that equivalent is in Fusion 360. If you know, please tell me. I would appreciate it, because that is the thing that is confusing me right now. So I want to basically group these two separate shapes and then align them to the center of the assembly, because it seems like they're off by like a very remedial amount. I'm gonna check the chat because I just asked a question. Oh, hi Maker Block. How are you doing today? I don't know what time it is in your neck of the woods where you're from. About ground filth getting into the electronics down there. I don't know. All my robots are ground filth. And they don't get dirty, so I don't know. I'm not sure. They'll probably, like, the design will get refined, like, a lot pretty quickly once we have a solid idea what it needs to be. Like, I'll redesign it and have it look nice and sharp and clean and not be all kind of garbagey and low to the ground, but for now, like, this is kind of the easiest thing to do, so I'm gonna go with it. So if it gets all dirty, it's just a phase. It's kind of like toddlers, right? Like, they just sort of, like, get all over the ground and get ground filth all over them, right? You just have to give them baths. Or don't touch them. That's what I do. Maker Blocks in California. Okay, so you're the same. You have the same weather as us. In fact, we get your weather. Like, if it's raining in California today, chances are it's going to be raining here probably tomorrow. That's how that works for Vegas. Damn it. This is a new leotard, so there's like a tag on the inside and it's itching. I forgot to take it off. But, alright. Boompers. The limp phallus boomper. Okay, so right now, I think the easiest way to alleviate this is to measure this face against this face, which is it's 11, and then if I measure this face against this face, it says it's also 11. What the fuck? Okay, so they are centered, and these should be identical, but these two overlap. And on the other side they don't. Or maybe they don't overlap. Maybe they just looked like they overlapped. Yeah, they do. They totally do. But then on this side, they don't. And these pieces are mirrored. Are the holes off on the thing? This other thing? They shouldn't be. My confusion is deep. They're definitely off. Because the space, like, here, like they touch and then they don't touch here, not even close. Why? Why is this? What have I done? I don't know what part of this is not consistent. So these holes were radially placed around the center axes. So I'm not entirely sure what the hell's going on here. Okay, how about this? If I if I combine these, and then I shut these ones off. So if I create a mirror of this person, and I move you so that your holes line up. Ooh, it looks like they don't. Interesting. Wonder why. $39.6. 39.6. You know what? Fuck it. That's close enough. That's less than a half of a millimeter. I know at least one person in the stream, if they're still present, is probably cringing at that. But that's not enough of a anything for me to really get up in arms about, so I'm not. In fact, here, I can do this. Extrude negative 0.2 on one. Negative 0.2 on this face, negative 0.2. Did it do it? Now if I measure the space between these two, it's 40. Perfect. Okay. I don't know something is not right, but I haven't really been paying much attention while making this because it's like the first iteration of a thing, so I kinda don't care. And I probably didn't care when I fucked up whatever threw everything off. And I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to fillet the corners of these little tab bits, and then I'm going to print them, which you guys aren't going to get to see, and that's disappointing, but it is what it is. I'm going to print 2 of these and add them to the current assembly, and the next thing I'm going to do, probably before the end of the stream, is redesign how everything mounts inside of that cavity, and that might not even involve any CAD. Whoa, that did something weird. What the fuck? What the hell? I don't know why it did that. 10? 10 is good. Sure. Okay. She doesn't know what she's doing. I don't. It is true. I don't know if I'm gonna actually, like, make any mounted stuff for the, like a CAD mounty plate stuff for the guts. I might just end up getting some silicone tape, that double-sided sticky tape, if we've got any of it, and tacking it down to something currently on the inside of that enclosure. It's probably not the right way to do that, but it's the easiest way, and as I mentioned, like, probably a million times, like, it doesn't have to be perfect right now, not yet at least. There. The thing that is kind of crucial is I need to get the vibration, I need to stop the vibration from reaching the accelerometer, so that probably does need its own dedicated, like, platform to be mounted on that has some sort of shock absorption, like foam, or like a tab of silicone that it can just sort of sit on like jelly, and it will just sort of like soak that up. I don't know what I'm gonna use, but I think if I change anything, that's the part that needs to be alleviated, fixed, remedied. Alright, I'm gonna print one of these. It needs holes, that's right. I need holes for these spacers. Where should I put them? I don't know. I'm gonna check the chat real quick. Hi, people. Aw, we missed you too. We missed Maker Faire. We always see the pictures everybody posts and we're like, aw, we just want to go to the parties and hang out with everybody and catch up with friends. Hi, David. You want the accelerometer to be very rigidly attached to the robot. Otherwise you'll get laggy data and sloppy response in the balancer. Okay. Rigidly attached to the robot. But it seems like the vibration of the motor is causing issues. Like a decent amount of issues, because it's responding to the vibration rather than anything else. I think Mark mentioned something yesterday about like adding a filter that like kind of gets rid of a lot of that, kind of like you do with audio when you're getting rid of hiss or noise in the background. So I think he might look into doing something like that today or tomorrow or next weekend. I can get pads for mounting flight control. Okay. For mounting flight controllers on drones. Thank you for the suggestion. I didn't know those existed. The motor should be padded. Okay. Can do that. So maybe like between the motor where it mounts and the thing, I should put like, what makes a good dampening pad, I guess, is the question I should be asking. Like the thing that I can think of off the top of my head is like foam. Like is foam on the right track, or like some sort of like, I don't know, rubber? I'm not even sure. And that's an Hovis, like would you put the accelerometer, does it matter if it's close to the point in which like where the tilting is happening, or can it be up higher? Like where is the ideal place to even put the accelerometer? Because Mark suggested the same thing too, like having it up above. And I don't know if there's some like advantage or disadvantage to having it away from the base where the like the radial point in which the tilting is happening. I don't know. Like I'm sure I could probably like dig around and find some documentation that states this, but we're just sort of feeling it out blindly right now. Because I could move it up. Like I could put it inside of Carl's body or at his head even. Like that could be his actual brain. Ooh, he'd have like an inner ear. Carl's inner ear. I like that. But anyhow, holes. La 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 la, holes. Offset this. Do 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 do. Okay. My limp phallus. That is what that looks like, though. Maybe I'll intentionally make the final iteration of Carl's kickstand so that it looks like an actual telephone, but without using an actual telephone. Guess I can set this to construction line. Same thing with this. And this. Okay. I think tonight is LAN party night. My friend Matt, my gamer friend, who I'm pretty sure I've talked about a bunch of times on my streams, at least once every spring he comes over with his computer tower, and he has like 1 million video games on Steam or whatever, and he curates them based on my taste in games, because he knows me pretty well, and he'll show me stuff. And we've been trying to coordinate a night to do that now for like the past couple of weeks, because I need a new game to play. Like I kind of have this spring off, so I want to I want to maximize that. Oh, see, I shouldn't have mirrored that yet. Knew it. That's my way around getting to, or having to, mirror those holes, and just the holes, or redo that whole song and dance I did with the rectangle and the offset. Because I'm lazy. There. Modify. Combine. I'm sure I have a lot of habits that make people grit their teeth, as far as cat is concerned. Combine. But I think that's all of us, right? We all have habits that probably make other people grit their teeth. Okay, so I've got my holes for my spacers. I've got the mounting tabs for the center of this doodad. And there's the Carl base mount right there, which this is actually going to be attached to. What is that? I don't know what any of these shapes are. I should probably name them. I don't know why there's a circle there. It just seemed like the correct thing to do. So he has like a masonite circle below his mounting throat, I guess, whatever this mounting piece is for his pipe leg. And the circle mounts onto the top plank, which is standoffy amount away from the wheels and the bracket that holds the stepper motors in place. So that's how that do. And then this should technically be 40 millimeters away from that, which it's 32, it's not. So I'm gonna move that up 8 more millimeters so that it's accurate to the thing that's on my desk. You. We'll go up 8 millimeters. Okay, there we go. guess the other thing I could do is I could insert the neon chicken into this so that you can actually see a visual representation of the character that will be embodying the body that I am designing right now. No. Move. And he's going to need his own stand too, it occurs to me, that will mount to the bottom of this body piece. Body piece. Okay. And I actually need to close this so it will save. There. Turn both of those on. Close Neon Bird, save Neon Bird, and then update Neon Bird in actual assembly file, which is this. Parts need to be updated. Yes, yes they do. Update parts. There we go. It looks a lot more spiky. I like it. Okay, so then this, or this, I learned that you can do this thing called modify align. This was a fun thing, this was important. So you can align a face to another face, which is really nice. So I want to align. It will not let me? No, you have to let me. Like this face to this face. Bodies. Why doesn't it want me to do that? Okay, it didn't like that. Ah! I was gonna say that was a very helpful tool that I enjoyed using, but it's apparently not as helpful as I thought it was. Oh, it did align something, just not how I wanted it to. Okay, so I'm going to undo the... I aligned that to something, and it's not what I wanted. Cry at night. Okay. Does anyone else have CAD dreams? That's another thing. Like, if I do CAD enough on a project, like if I spend all day working on an assembly like this, I will actually go to bed and dream that I'm trying to, like, move pieces or, like, do an action and it's not working and I'm getting frustrated and my brain's overclocking itself trying to think of some clever workaround to force the software to do what I want it to. Which is probably not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to force the software. Here. From... I want it to do that. From this to this. Yeah? Did it do it? It did it! Ah, yes. I love when it does it. Okay, so it aligned those two things. to one another, and I'm happy. Okay. So Neon Burb. I have to reset that, don't I? It's okay. That should be good. Good enough. And then, yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know why that's the bottom, such as it is. Okay, so this is roughly what we're looking at here. So this is the thing that will exist in the very near future. So he's got his wheels, and he's got his Carl bumper, I guess, right now, which is, go back to my concept sketch. This is the thing I just designed. It's gonna do. It's gonna catch his fall, hopefully. So I'm gonna go ahead and print both sides of this, and excuse me. I'm going to print both sides, and I'm going to attach them to Carl, this fancy, handsome gentleman right here. And I'm going to try and reattach this to that menagerie that I showed you earlier, like his actual chassis that has all of the goop in it right now. This. And I think I'm gonna leave the guts sort of hanging out of it for now, short of the accelerometer, which does need a new home. So I'll probably make a little stand for it someplace that makes sense and stick it on here with some double-sided tape. So it's probably not going to be a thing I do in CAD. It's probably going to just be a piece of wood or something with some squishy shock absorbent material, and then it'll be mounted to that. And that might just go like on the side right here. Oh god, Carl, you go here. Like right here or something. And then I'm gonna pass this back to Mark. Oh god, where did this fall out of? No. That was in the ground plane. I think. Yes. Don't do this. This is a bad idea. There. Okay. But anyhow, I'm going to do better with this. And then okay, the thing that I should post in the chat is, so if I open up a new website thingy and I go to my website, which if you don't know I have a website, this is my website. I don't have a link to Carl right now. Like, this will eventually be a mouse over like all the other things I've built are currently. There's like Shiban, Noodle Feet, Lake Play. Carl will have a rollover right here. I just have to update the site and I'm not done yet. But it does exist if you go to zonus.com/Carl. I think it's just Carl. Yep, okay. It's like a really basic page, but I'm going to have all of the updates like chronologically in a list here, and I'm going to get little video clips showing the progress, even if they're just 30 seconds, and it's like, hey, this doesn't work. And the next one is like, hey, this also doesn't work. It's just going to be a thread of those until we get to a point where he does start working. And I'm going to put little checkpoint notes that explain what we changed and what we're testing, and you'll be able to stay up to speed with the progress. And eventually I'll add a link on here to the get. Carl doesn't have a get on my GitHub thingy, yet, but he will, so you can see our code and follow along with our progress. But right now, this first test that we did on Tuesday? Yeah, a week ago. Wow, okay. Last Tuesday, we got the accelerometer and the stepper motor drivers working, and that's it. We've done a little bit of play since then. I need to get a video of where we're at right now with this current iteration as it is to show how it doesn't work, and then I'll move on. But and then Noodle, similarly, like if I be real fancy and do Carl's story, I did a thing that introduces both of the robots. You can read that if you want. I'm not gonna inflict it upon you, but there's a link here at the bottom to the page I just showed you with all of Carl's updates, and then there's one for Noodle right here that takes you to Noodle's walking endeavor page, and he does have a GitHub because me and Noodle's daddies did take a stab at getting him to walk in January of this year, and we made some decent progress. We did come to the conclusion that he can't walk well in his current form without getting that extra knee swinging upgrade. So before we take another stab at the walking code, I'm gonna have to do some hardware stuff. I'm gonna have to make him new bones and new legs, so mommy's gonna have to do what mommy does best. That's a scary thought. What mommy does sort of okay, I shouldn't say best. Mommy's gonna make Noodle his new body, which means he's going to also need a bigger brain, so he's gonna get a new brain circuit board, because the one that he has can only support, I think, not enough motors. It doesn't have enough pins to support all of the motors that will be needed to make him walk better. Oh, they're running the semi next door again. Yay. But yeah. So that's all of Noodle's scoot and doot. And the link to, I'll throw this in the chat. This is the link to Noodle's walking, and then this is the link to Carl's rolling. There. Further up is probably better for a smoother, more amplified signal. Okay. I'll move it up then. You can either use with a little math. Yes, the further away from the pivot would give you better readings of what the system is doing. Okay. Okay, Hovis and David, I will take your advice and I will move it up then, higher in the system. I'm not sure where, but I will come up with a place. We might need to do a little trick up and get back to the angular values. With fine-tuning on vertical position, then PID tweaking should fix it, I think. Okay. It'll probably, yeah, I'll save this chat window and show it to Mark when he's home. He gets off at 4, so in another 2 hours I'll be able to show him everything that you guys have passed on to me, and then we can talk about it. Because I think he's not going to be off for another couple days now because of the holiday. Like, he doesn't actually get days off for holidays, they just move them over later on in the week. So on Friday, probably, we're going to take another stab at getting him to roll. So I've got all week to kind of coax his form into something that might work better. But the bumper is kind of the first step to at least helping him not, like, fall over all the time. Because I think he does have quite a few scratches on his little, like, bird face from when we tried doing this 3 years ago. Fuck. 100 years ago. Back when this chicken was born. But yeah, the thing that's gonna be cool is once I can do this and I can make a balancing robot and I know how to do a balancing robot, I have a feeling that everything in this lab is going to become a balancing robot, because why not? Let's see. So the other thing I need to cut another aluminum rod like this for the neon version of Carl. The cool thing about this light pipe that I used, here, let me switch from the CAD view. You can do it, Sarah. Okay, there I am. I'm still here. So I have the neon Carl, right? And I'm using this light pipe. It's the 5mm light pipe stuff. Eek. I was actually able to use 2 pieces of this, and I butted them end to end, and it managed to still transfer the light. So you can't see it, but I don't even know where it is. Where did I have to do that? Okay, right here. You're probably not gonna be able to see this, but there's 2 separate pieces butted against each other end to end, and I didn't think that the light would transfer from one to the other because for whatever reason, like, you can only find this stuff in like 3-foot long segments. It's really difficult to find it any longer or like at a length you can choose. In fact, this stuff is like pretty impossible to find in and of itself anywhere. But I was only able to find it in a 3-foot chunk, and 3 feet ended like right there. So I added this length of light pipe, and I kind of hid it in one of these little brackets. Like, the seam is hidden inside of here, and it kind of holds both. And it amazingly just transferred the light from one to the other, and you can't tell. So I'm like, cool. I didn't think it would work. So I'm kind of happy that did what I was hoping. But I'm gonna do a blog post about all of the faux neon fixtures that I've been making like this and how to make them yourself. There's so far 2 different strategies I have for making fixtures like this that hold either L-wire or light pipe, and depending on which one you use, I know you get like a different effect. Some work better, or I have one that has standoffs that hold the light pipe from behind rather than from the side, like this one, and better to give you the neon sign effect because it looks more like how the backing of neon signs are actually assembled. And these ones, like this sort of strategy, I don't know, like, this does not look like classic neon in and of itself, but it does give a nice effect. It's got that futuristic sort of effect, and I generated this bracket using just a path that I drew in Illustrator. So I drew this guy in Adobe Illustrator with one path, and then imported that in Fusion 360 and was able to create this structure pretty easily. It's like maybe a couple of steps. So yeah, what I'm getting at is I'll be making a tutorial on how to like do this sort of thing in the future. But yeah, so this guy is going to be able to play with this guy. They'll be buddies. Yeah, best chicken friends. I don't know. What else do I need to do? I need to print the bumper that I just made, so let me get that ready to crank out. Okay. My hair looks festive. I get a haircut on Friday of this week, which is good because like this is probably the longest. I mean, it's up, you can't see it, but it's like really long right now and it's driving me fucking crazy. So I'm really, really happy to get it all cut off again, as you do. go. Okay, so I'm going to export my banana telephone phallus. Let's even call it that. Banana phallus phone. That's not how you spell probably any of that. I don't care. Here. I won't subject you to my dirty desktop. Oh, hi, AP Tech. How are you doing? I'm doing swell. I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. I recovered from my sunburn. I don't know if anyone saw on Twitter I was complaining about not being able to do video because I had, like, a tan line, which I don't know if you can still see it, but I was, like, very, very red in the body, and I looked like I had been attacked by the sun beast. Okay, let me throw this on a platform. Let me throw this on a platform. Ooh, that might not fit. Always bigger than I thought. Wait, what? Okay, that is a very long piece. Oh, is that gonna be a problem if I do that? Probably not. It'll probably be okay because these are all going to be bracketed together. So it'll almost be like it doesn't matter. Ha ha. Famous last words. Okay, so I need to cut this in half because otherwise it's not going to fit on my print bed, which is bad. I don't like it when things don't fit on the print bed. It's no good when it doesn't fit. Speak for yourself, lady. Alright. Capture position. Noodle's pissed. Noodle feels betrayed by his parents. Be gone with you. Okay, so what did I name this? Banana phallus phone? Let's name this phallus phone 2, I guess. I'll be able to find that. Wait, you can't see because I didn't switch the thing back. Sorry about that. I'll be just a second and I'll switch back down to my desktop view. I'm just trying to export this thing to the print file thing. The printy-do. Oh god. There's my print bed. Okay. Banana phallus phone 2. Rotate. Rotate around the y-axis? Yeah? Was that what I wanted? No. Rotate around y-axis. Okay. Go. There we go. Okay, this should work. I'll have my satisfaction. Okay. It's set to pet, which is good. That's what it should be set to. I don't need this anymore. My whack-em. Oh god. And I can print. If I can figure out how to work the SD card reader. There we go. Pusa. phallus phone. Let's see how long this is gonna take to print. My guess is like 2 hours. 2 hours. Oh, 2 hours and 35 minutes. I was close. Alright. I will be right back, and then I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys, because I'm not entirely sure what I need to work on next that involves CAD. If I move this to the bench, then I could probably show you all of my awkward fumbling with the body and all the stuff that's like hanging out of it, because that's what I'm gonna do next now. I don't know, we'll see. Let me stick this in and get the print running. I'll be right back. Yeah! Phallus phone. Phallus phone. No? Where did you guys go? There you are. Where did my chat go? What the hell? I love it when all my windows disappear for no reason. Where's my chat window? I can't see you guys. Totally not cool. Oh, there you are. Okay. I found you. It's like a peekaboo with my desktop windows. The banana phone. Oh, hi, Vi! How are you doing? Those Wacom tablets? Yes. It's the best Wacoms. Ah. How are you? How are you, Vi? How is everybody? Like, is everyone surviving the day? I want to say I'm surviving the day. Barely. Here's another cool thing I got this weekend. I got a little TF2 action figure because I play a lot of TF2 and I found them. They're really hard to find for some reason, or at least like I don't know where to get them, but I went to a place that actually had them, but not the Pyro. I play as Pyro. You can never find the Pyro. I mean, I never found them, period, but apparently they are difficult to find in the wild, because if you go to buy one on Amazon, they're all like $100, which I'm not paying $100 for these guys. As super cool as they are, but I got the Medic, because I think the Medic is my favorite character stylistically from the game, as just a character, but my favorite one to play is the Pyro, because that just sort of fits my personality a hell of a lot better. I do want to find the Pyro, and then I can pose these guys together in an embrace of, like, intimacy. But right now he's just riding my, my cow. I have my bull figure, so they're kind of like, they're going on a ride together right there. I have this, like, altar of action figures and stuff that I've accumulated from various places over the past X amount of years, just sort of here, and it's like the props that I need to cheer me up on any given day. So if ever I'm like frustrated or need to get my mind off of anything, I just have this sort of menagerie of like effectively toys that I have set up here that I can like fondle, and I'd probably do the same thing that people used to use fidget spinners for whenever that was a thing. It gives you that like distraction and anxiety outlet, I guess, because I have something to fuck around with my hands. So I've got like a meat puzzle that I got in Tokyo last year that actually has meat pieces that come out of the body, and they're labeled in Japanese, whatever, kanji. So you can remove the rib cage and slide all of his meat out and then jam them all back in here. And the cool thing about these meat pieces is that they change color with the heat of your hands. So they go from like the red color of raw meat to like a gray color, like they've been cooked. And this is the coolest thing in the world. Like, you can't argue with it. Yeah. So I can like play with some meat when I need a break. I have like 100 raptors. Every time I go to a new country, I go to the toy store and I find a raptor. And I buy it. So I have like half a dozen raptors from like different countries in Europe. And I always have like a really awkward encounter with the person in the toy store too, because I'm like this grown-ass woman walking into a toy store, like judging the paint quality on the dinosaurs before I pick one out and then buy it. And they always ask, they're like, why are you buying a dinosaur? And I'm like, I have to get the dinosaur in your country and take it back with me. And they're like, oh, well, since you put it that way, of course. Here's this one was from Prague. It has the best, most derpy face ever. Derpy Prague raptor. It came on an egg. But yeah, I have a Dodogama from Japan. I have a bunch of things from Japan, actually. I think most of the stuff here is from my trip to Japan last year. I just went and I loaded up on, like, figures, because they have the best figures. But, I don't know. I think I've been going at this for just about 2 hours, and I'm gonna call it. Thank you for keeping me company while I thought through this. Because it might have sounded like I had a plan at the beginning, but I kind of didn't. I just sort of, as I was telling you what I was doing, that's exactly the moment when I was deciding what I was doing. So here, if I go back down to my desktop, I'm printing sort of this bumper, or the first iteration of this. I'm gonna call it, it's Carl's kickstand, but we know that it's actually the banana phallus telephone. That's what it's gonna be in my heart. So it's this strange shape that's going to catch him and Neon Carl's fall. What should I call Neon Carl? Like, I can't just call him Carl too, because that'll give Carl a weird, like, complex. Like, Neon Carl needs a separate designation. It might just be Neon Carl. Maybe that'll be like, I can't call it Noodle Carl, because I started calling the what's it called? Oh my god, the light pipe, Glow Soba. And soba is a form of noodle, and I don't really want to offend Noodle. I don't know. Glow Soba Carl? It'll just be Neon Carl. Neon Carl doesn't need a fancy name. But yeah, so in the future, there's stuff in there. I'll be posting updates on the progress of Carl and Noodle, and I showed you in the chat where you can find that progress. And I haven't been on Discord in a while. I feel like a jerk. Oh man. Let me get the, hang on. I've got this. Watch as Sarah scrambles, trying to read her microscopic icons. Where is it? I don't know. I have to click on my thing first. That's right. Invite people and copy. There we go. Okay, now I can share my Discord link. Mobile pink chicken Carl? Yes. Neon noodle Carl. There, that's my Discord link. I'm in there sometimes. I'm either really in there, like way up in there, or I'm just not. I'll be honest. Like lately I haven't been. I don't know what I've been up to. But I've been busy. Wait, let me catch up with the chat. I saw that in real life. Yay, meat figurine. Have a wonderful day, do the thing. Oh, you have a wonderful day too, Vi. And that sounds like an awesome medical condition. One of them could be the Flamingo. Ah, I like that. Flamingo. I might start calling him that, the Flamingo. Okay. That's gonna get really weird sounding because it's just gonna like become Flamingo. Okay, Flamingo, our Carl, the noodly Carl, the neon Carl, is gonna be the Flamingo. He's gonna have a foot, and I'll post pictures on Twitter. I guess if I have no idea who's watching, I assume everyone knows me, so I don't post this stuff. But that's my Twitter. I post a lot of shit on Twitter. I didn't really realize that it was going to become as important of an outlet for my documentation as it has become, but I do tend to crank out a lot of pictures and short video clips and post them there. Once I get this foot finished, I will post images there for the wrap and fruition of this stream. But until I do my next one and post more updates on the progress of my children and their walking, thank you for keeping me company today. I really appreciate it. And I'll pass that knowledge on that you gave to me to the Mark Beast once he's home in a couple of hours. So, I don't know. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, whichever it is, wherever you are. And I'll talk at you soon. So yeah, I'll see ya. How do I make it stop? There, okay.